A weight cut is terrible.
And it really sucks. But cutting weight really sucks. There's no way around it.
The weight cut is that final part where you really start restricting some of your food intake and restricting water intake to lose the last couple pounds near weigh-ins.
When you go into a fight, you want to be bigger than the other person if possible, because that's an advantage. So you have your walk around weight and then you have your fight weight.
I walk around at 150 to 155 pounds and I fight at 135, so my weight cut is 20 pounds. Most of the guys that are fighting at 155 is the actual weight class, are cutting from like 170, 175. So for me to fight at my walk around weight, that might be easier for me, but when I get in the ring, I'm gonna be against somebody that could be 30 pounds heavier than me by that time.
Specifically for fighters, for whatever weight class we're talking about, all right, so let's use 55 as an example. I wouldn't tell a fighter to walk around at 55. So I think a moderate weight cut, which to me would be like 5 to 15 pounds, depending on the size of the fighter, wouldn't be necessarily detrimental to that fighter's performance.
So if you're having to do pretty extreme things to try to get down to the next level down, you might be better off health-wise and performance-wise of not trying to get down to the next class below. A lot of the strategies can be A, very dangerous, and B, not work.
Some guys will starve themselves, only eat one meal a day for like 2 or 3 weeks straight, and that's like pretty insane. I don't know how anyone could do that.
So you have like three or 4 days in the week in a 7-day cycle where you're really not consuming the optimal food and you're not drinking the optimal amount of water. And it gets worse and worse as the week goes on. So it's mentally very taxing and physically very taxing.
Dehydration effects, it can impact your electrolytes, and that can be very serious, causing arrhythmias and things like that. Same thing with self-induced emesis, or making yourself vomit like bulimics would do. There can be a lot of negative things from those extreme weight loss strategies.
Well, there's a historical aspect to it. There was unfortunately a couple of deaths, middle or late 90s, that were associated with excessive weight cutting. It led to some unfortunate events, and I think it really was a negative impact on the sport in general.
I feel like the safety concerns aren't really even like looked at when you're in the gym, because it's just like, I need to make weight. And then at an amateur level, it's more about your name. Like, if you don't make weight, like, that looks really bad for you. When I cut weight, I like to do something called water loading.
You stop producing an antidiuretic hormone called vasopressin. Basically, that hormone prevents you from sweating. If I'm drinking a ton of water, I want to be not producing the hormone, so that water gets flushed out of my system. It takes a while for my body to regulate and start producing the hormone again, and in the meantime, that flushing process is still continuing.
There are risks of also drinking too much water, particularly with something called hyponatremia, which is low sodium. So you essentially dilute out the salt in your blood. And hyponatremia, again, can have health effects.
For a woman, it's definitely harder. If you have your period coming up, you have to almost plan around it, and you might have to cut more weight. You can also get your period to start getting like a regular and stuff.
We see different manifestations of the restriction in men and women. Okay, for example, in women, we can monitor their menstruation. And when somebody loses their period, it starts spacing out, it starts getting lighter. To us, that's a sign that the hormone system is being impacted by what we call a poor balance, or a poor energy availability, meaning their nutrition and their exercise aren't matching up. You might lose weight, but it also might be impacting the other systems in your body. For example, your reproductive system, so the hormones, the bone health, so you might be more susceptible to breaking a bone or having a stress fracture in your training. We call that the female athlete triad.
Weight cutting, you'll never go anywhere. They're never gonna have fights where you just walk in at your weight.
I think it'd be a lot safer. I think weight cutting is really dangerous, but it's like everyone does it, so you almost feel the need to do it.
We want you to be healthy in doing this, not only short-term and long-term. So let's find a way to keep you performing at the level that you're performing, maybe better, in the right weight class, with the right strategies from a weight loss and weight maintenance perspective.
There's still going to be people that are slow to change, but I think change is just happening a little faster now.